following this second assassination attempt. Tonight, the Trump campaign has officially asked for increased security from the Secret Service. While protecting the former president, the Secret Service is also preparing for the UN General Assembly next week, while also protecting President Biden and other presidential candidates. These additional resources would require additional funding from Congress. Joining me now to talk about this latest security scare is best-selling author and podcaster Atlas Aultman. He's a former military commander who spent years working with the White House and Secret Service. He was also a special ops director in Afghanistan and was awarded 2 Bronze Stars for leading teams in various combat zones in Afghanistan and Iraq. First of all, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your coming down tonight. As a guy who fought for this country, wore the uniform, put his life on the line, when you see 2 assassination attempts on a former president in 9 weeks, and then you look at January 6th and all of the other, just explosive events we've had in this country recently, what do you think is going on?
Well, I think there's a lot going on. And the most important thing to know is that we are still safe. 2 attempts instead of news that could be really bad. It's way better to hear it that way as a man who wore the uniform than hear something else. And the folks that I served with, it's amazing to them that it's so violent right now, but we're all glad that we have Secret Service that is well-trained and well-equipped to keep delivering the assassination attempts instead of
I guess what I'm getting at, Atlas, is do you think we're at some sort of a crossroads in this country with this boiling undercurrent of anger and violence that erupts sometimes?
I can see a lot of people going that way, and I see that on social media. But the reality is, I think we've seen this throughout history, over and over again. Working in the Obama administration, we had the most attempts on a president while I was there, and it was historic. And people were talking about it like it's a bad day. I think today is a bad day. It's always going to be a bad day if you let it. So it's in the mind of the beholder. If you're looking at news as it is, it's truthful. And if you're looking at social media and those type of things, sometimes that's just not the truth.
Let me ask you a question. Tonight, people are pointing fingers at the Secret Service saying, look, this guy, Ruth, was out there on the perimeter of the golf course for 12 hours. Should an assassin have been able to camp out there for that long without being noticed?
I think as we start looking at things, we start playing armchair quarterback. And it's easy to say, I would have, I should have, but on off-the-record movements, which this was, the security detail moves with the president. And they saw it in time for them to stop it. Now, I saw reports of an AK-47. An AK-47 is very distinguishable. And pulling that out of the bushes, that's a threat that I'd want to handle. But I'll tell you what, when I was training people how to use an AK-47, I always made sure that they got that long-range shot to see how dangerous it was at long range, and they prevented it.
Let's talk about the AR, and this is unfortunately our last question, but this is a weapon that the would-be assassin apparently used. They confiscated it and had the serial number wiped out. As a guy who I'm sure supports the Second Amendment, how do we reconcile protecting the Second Amendment but also keeping weapons like this out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them?
Yeah, that's going to be hard. And I think it's going to be really hard going forward because you see things like this and then you don't see all the law-abiding citizens that are doing the right thing. And you have to make a call. And that call is what is right today? Is the person holding the rifle the right person? What is their intent? All of the things need to be questions that we ask before we assume that someone is eligible to hold a rifle. They should stay trained, they should stay proficient, but they should stay sane. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of.
Sanity seems to be a good word for that. Atlas, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate yours.
All right.